Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review for a movie here that I've watched probably 4 times now in the last couple of years. I don't know why exactly. It's just so good. It's something that really took me aside and said, hey, you know what? Bears kind of suck. Bears are dangerous. I never realized that really until I saw this film. It's one of those things like American Sniper that kind of changed my view on the certain elements they're kind of discussing a little bit. Now, this is a 2014 film called Backcountry. It's a very indie, basic film. It's well shot. I really love that about it. I don't really know anybody in this or surrounding it, like a director or anything. I don't know any of their previous work. But from what I got as based on a true story, that's really not, if you know the behind-the-scenes stuff. After I got so into the movie, I did some research, and it has like nothing to do with the original events. Very much like certain things like Cocaine Bear and whatever. This movie, Backcountry, impressed me so much. And again, I've seen it like 4 or 5 times. I think it's super interesting, super engaging, and kind of frightening. If you're like me, being a southern guy, kind of scared of the woods. A little bit. Just something primal about it that freaks me out. Just a little bit. Backcountry is basically about a couple that the guy wants to propose to the girl, and he plans on taking her on a hiking trip. It's pretty much her first ever hike. He apparently went on this trail once upon a time, and this time around, to take her to a really romantic spot, he decides to take her off of the path for her first ever hike. And you're not supposed to do that. If you ever have not hiked, do not do that. I don't care who tells you to do it, whose idea it was. Do not be a dumbass. Don't do that. Stay on the path, okay? He takes her off the path and tries to take her into a really cool place to propose to her, and they get lost. Horribly lost. And while they're trying to wander around in these woods for days, dude, without a phone, without reception, anything like that, they start to see signs that there might be a bear out there, whether they find dead animal carcasses, scat, anything. They start to worry that there is some kind of black bear somewhere around, or like a grizzly or something like that. And they probably turn out to be right. It's the poster, and as my story about the theme in this film is kind of proven. I was never afraid of bears until I saw this film, and saw a couple of particular moments in this film. This is kind of what you could call like a creature feature, if you will. Not like to the extent of like Creature from the Black Lagoon or like a Godzilla movie, but in its own regard. It's a wilderness survival movie. And if you love that kind of thing, like I don't always, but there are certain cases that I do, I loved this. I thought it was great. I still think it's great. After seeing it 3 or 4 times, I just think it's a great movie. This past weekend, my mom and I were hanging out. We watched this, and then we watched Malignant again. And I love Malignant, too. Watching both of these films back to back was a little weird because they're so different. But both really proved to me, like, there are certain movies that come out here and there nowadays. We're so used to seeing pile of shit after pile of shit that it's really hard to see something like this and not appreciate it. It's a good flick. Backcountry has a lot going for it. It's a fun movie that, again, it's a little bit of a slow burn leading up to the bear and leading up to the couple having their eventual fight about getting lost and the things that led them to being lost. It's a very great drama in that way, and it gets very tense. Like I said, it's pretty scary. If you like this kind of film, I think it's super effective. Maybe this isn't the right channel to review this on, being kind of like a horror-themed channel, but I think it very much fits into that kind of thing. If you like to be truly scared by movies, and you happen to be scared of bears, or even if you're not, it might change your opinion on that. There are some practical effects in this movie that I am not convinced are either real dead animals or are like or real dead people or anything. I'm telling you, there are some shit in this film for the practical effects that looks so real, it's horrifying. There's one particular scene that I will not spoil. It involves a tent. That is one of the most horrifically realistic things I've ever seen in my life. And again, this film, because of things like that, changed my opinion about bears. Fuck bears. Anyway, the film looks good, it's well shot, it takes very good advantage of those trees and the woods that it's focused on, or set in, whatever. And I think it's really beneficial that they took advantage of that. It's kind of a sad movie. A little bit. Not super sad, but kind of sad enough that it kind of hits you right in the right place. It's well made. It doesn't really have much music to it. It's kind of just quiet most of the time. But it works. It works really well. And I recommend it alone on that if you haven't seen Backcountry from 2014. There's a lot of projects and movies on IMDb and on the internet called Backcountry. Make sure you check out this. Backcountry is one word, so there you go. But it came out in 2014 if you want to see it. It's all over streaming typically. I think we saw it on Tubi, which it's always on Tubi. Every time I've seen this film, it's been on Tubi. Great flick. Really recommend it if you haven't seen it. Anyway, Backcountry has some good acting, some good writing, some good tension, and I recommend it alone on that if you like that kind of wilderness environmental interest. If you're into that, it's great for that. Anyway, if I had to rate Backcountry on a 5-star basis, I would easily give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Really good flick, really enjoyable movie for what it was. Super tense, super scary. The fact that I would rather watch this over Evil Dead Rise should tell you everything about me, about my channel, about my taste, and about these two projects that I just referred to. Anyway, check out Backcountry if you haven't seen it. Super recommendable, great flick. Really recommend it to the right people especially. I think you'll really appreciate it. Anyway, thank you all for watching. God bless you all, and goodbye.